When you clicked on that video, you might be interested in the server battery from Cloud Energy, 51.2 volts, and what features does it have? We'll look into that, we'll take it apart, we'll test it, and that's all in this video. So stick around, let's get started. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching again. Or if you're new to the channel, this is what I like to do. This is what I like to look at. Renewable energy, batteries, lithium iron phosphate, solar, DIY stuff, basically what I like. So maybe you like it too. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, feel free to, and watch my other videos if you want to. This video will be purely about the Cloud Energy server battery as you see it here. It's pretty heavy because it's a metal housing here, as you can imagine. And what's cool about this battery, for sure, not only that it is steel, as you can see here, we will be able to also open it, take it apart, and look inside for a closer look how the build quality is and whatnot. So we'll get started with what you receive when you order this little piece or big piece. By the way, cost-wise, here's an image on Amazon and a link in the description below as well in case you're interested. What's in the box is the server rack battery itself. We'll get a closer look here on this side as well in a minute. But we also have a bracket, and there are more brackets as well, which come with this unit. Brackets. Well, those bolts go up front. Talk about it in a minute. And we have those massive bolts and anchors as well, in case you want to mount it or install it somewhere. Then we also have this pouch with the manual. Well, what's the difference? We have to look into that. How to use the Bluetooth functionality on one paper. In the big prospect, we can find information about Cloud Energy itself, which you find very rarely. So they actually advertise themselves. Cloud New Energy, established in 2015. Then some pictures about the factory over here on the right side. By the way, those different brackets, so those brackets are here for the side. You can install them here and then you can use it as a server rack. We also have some brackets down below for, that's why you might be wondering, those go onto, so those brackets, there are two, go underneath. And this bracket is for the wall. You basically slide them in like this, and that will hold the entire bracket together. So that means we'll go into the specification now. I actually placed it pretty close to the Victron inverter, right next to the Multiplus II, 48 volts. So just that you have a comparison in size, because it is pretty big. So talking about this battery, besides that it has some information on the right side, pretty much like this one. It's printed on it, and we have a sticker here, which is basically, and only talking about the Bluetooth app. Then we have positive and negative. We have those little covers, basically. We do have a 100 amp fuse over here, which is an off position. We have an additional on-off switch. We have a display, which can be just tilted like this. So that means that when you have it mounted to the wall, this would be on the wall, you can actually read it. That is pretty neat as well. And then I have those handles which fold in, which is nice. I carried it earlier and I did actually hit my finger over here. So it is pretty sharp, those edges, keep that in mind. What's very interesting, and I have no explanation at the moment, is that those bolts, M8 bolts, bigger than the bolts over here on this side, they are smaller. In case you know why that is the case, hey, I'm more than happy to learn. But that's what I encountered here, so no idea why. And with bigger and smaller, let me actually show you what I mean with that. So if you don't see a difference here, you're blind. But you can see this one is the big one, this is the smaller one. This is more like an M6 and this is an M8, I would say. Anyways, that's just one thing I saw at the beginning. And you know what? Let me just turn it on, because that's why we're here, right? So this one, there's a lot of stuff to turn on. We are at, oh, it's hardly readable. I hope you can read it. So we have 27%. This is a very common display used. It's touch functionality over here. So you see the overall percentage, you see the input or output in amperage over here. You see the overall voltage, you see the temperature, the internal one, and you see time to be empty, calculated. And then you see here, discharge, charge, you can turn it on and off. Let's see how that works. Whoop, there we go, discharge. Even though the button is on, right? So you can do the same. Should be, it's a soft lock, that's what it calls, so status lock. And when we just do this one, oh, should have waited. Now the status is normal. you see the discharge turned off here. It's back on. So this button is purely for discharge. You can though just turn the overall everything off, and then there's no voltage or whatsoever on here on the terminals. But this one is not triggered. Looks like going to the BMS and telling it you cannot discharge, but there's no voltage on here. Let's get into more detail about this battery. Regarding size of this entire battery, here are the dimensions, so you have an idea if that would fit your needs. And by the way, talking about size and specification itself, you don't see any communication ports out here. Server rack batteries, a lot of them do have actually communication ports where you can plug it in, connect other batteries and put them in parallel. That's not the case with this one. This one only comes with the known Shaoxing, I believe, sorry I'm pronouncing it wrong, app, which indicates that this might be a JDB BMS. Let's see what we're finding here. We have a 5,120 watt hours. At least that's what's advertised online. 100 amp maximum continuous charge and discharge. I will be, I don't know if I can pull that much. I will try. 100 amp fuse, so I'm wondering if this triggers. It is advertised with -20 Celsius up to 60 Celsius. Of course, we have the 6,000 plus cycles of life cycle. This thing is heavy, 99 pounds, 45 kilogram. So don't carry it by yourself. Pretty heavy thing. Then when I look at the recommended charge current is 30 amps according to their manual, and it does have a maximum continuous charge discharge current, which is interesting. They advertise here on this page with 110 amp and the maximum discharge current up to 5 seconds, 120. Again, this fuse is indicating 100 amps. So we'll see what the threshold is there. And then more information in the manual, of course, about battery charging logics, what lithium iron phosphate is compared to lead acid, etc., those kind of things, and also solar panels. So there's, of course, the comprehensive stuff, information in there. What I always like, depending on your inverter at the end, what you connect, is pretty much this page talking about the capacity and the charge voltage, just to understand the level and where you should disconnect it. 43 volt recommended, low voltage disconnect. And oh yeah, of course, we do have a parallel connection here as well, what I recommend. Do not support series connection. Keep that in mind. And yeah, of course, and if you want to stack them up, that's what you can do. You can buy server racks as well. We should be able to slide this one in. I don't have one here, so I'm not doing that. But it's pretty cool to see that stuff, what they think about it, and of course the inverter settings I just talked about. Here we have more information about charging and discharging information. 16 cells in there, that's why we're ending up with 51.2 volts. So I'm curious how the capacity test will play out. We'll do that and then a teardown. So on the capacity test for the Cloud Energy server battery, you can see it. We'll get it started now, and so everything was reset before. And now we do let it run until everything, all the capacity is pulled out of this battery. I'll be back with the final results in a bit. And we just hit a 100 amp hours for this battery. That's good. Let's see how much we can squeeze out of this. Oh yeah, look at that. I just plugged it back in and we got 103.01 amp hour out of this 100 amp advertised battery. Just plugged in the charger, so we had a shunt here, so this is the final result, 103.01. Passed the capacity test. Let's move on. So when we're already here, you can see we are at 0%, 44.48. It's pretty accurate-ish. 44.6, yeah, pretty accurate. That's pretty good to see. Switching over to the cells really quick because I didn't show this so far in here. Here we are. You can see there's like 30 or something, 0.030 volt difference to cells. So pretty good. I like that. So with 103 amp hours, this is not too bad actually. This is not bad at all, if you ask me. So what I'm doing now, there are all bolts around here, so I'll open them up. And hopefully we can just take off this lid and see what's in it. Okay, so we got it. Let's see If we can get it open easy. Oh yeah, feels like. Whew. Oh, look at that. That's an epoxy board with silicon glue inside. Cool. Okay. What I can see here and what's pretty cool and reminds me on the LiFePO4 is this board and the labeling actually. I'm overall positively surprised to see that. This is pretty good and pretty decent to see. We have the wires connecting. Oh, that is so funny. I feel like I've just seen this. This exact same BMS. It's hard to see for you. Let me get you in. So right here on the right side, that's where our BMS is. There's a heat sink over here. We do have a couple connections, especially all the balance leads from this board, which connect them to each other. Balance leads coming in here. This little might be temperature sensors. Then we have the display connect right underneath here with those colorful wires, which are actually going here to the display itself. Then we have here 4 wires going from main negative to the BMS. And the BMS, you can see here, we have another 4 wires, which are, by the way, in size 10 gauge. Those are 10 gauge wires going from the main terminal here to the BMS. And on positive side, we do have the 100 amp breaker, which is here. And we can see, you see here, the main positive going to the breaker and the breaker going over here to the main positive, the terminal. And then we have here, of course, the main positive as well. And this is a 6 gauge wire, which we're seeing here. And then everything else is underneath here. And it looks like that everything would have to take off this entire board because the temperature sensors, it looks like, and those are the temperature sensors then, probably here and over here. Those are the lines which are actually going from here. This is pretty neat. I like that, what I see here already. I actually did not expect this, seeing the LiFePO4 build quality. So it has a steel housing. What I haven't shown you, here we can see on this side epoxy boards as well have those holes. The only downside on those entire boards is usually that they're not made for contraction and expansion. I'm not sure about this one. It could be a little bit more clean, but it's good still. It's tucked away as long as it is tight. That's the most important. And it also has some slack. So in case you have to change anything, you actually do have to unbolt all those nuts. I'm using my app, or the app, of course. That means using the Shaoxing app. Here I have a bunch of other stuff in here, as you can see. We need to go to the Cloud Energy Server. I renamed this. It was just easier. And by the way, yes, I did test it with my Multiplus, because that one works pretty well with this, surprisingly. Huh? So here we have our temperature. I just want to put my finger of those two. I want to see if that actually goes up somewhere or not. Oh yeah, here, you see 1 and 2 rising. All right, I got my heat gun, and I did actually test it already, and you can see we are with this one at 101. I didn't want to go too crazy hot, and this one is at 82. So this is number 2. Look at number 2. This is number 1, so we'll continue with number 1 really quick. Well, actually, I think I said it wrong. I think this is number 2 and number 3. But hey, let's just check it out real quick. Yeah, this is number 2. I'm going to number 3, I believe. Putting it on. You can see this is number 2. Should at least get a little colder. You can see it is already going down. 94. And falling. Same over here. It's number 3. And going down and falling. That's how it works. Pretty easy and simple. There we are. Look at it. You know what's concerning? Very sad. looks like they have been scratched off. Man, that's a bummer. That's always a concerning sign, to be honest, and I don't know why that is the case. Why would you do that? Tell me why. No idea, but it is what it is. So here we can see it. That's the overall. You can see the entire cell. Pretty interesting to see that they are separated in between with some epoxy board on the outside as well as here, and most likely on the side as well. See, there's some kind of aluminum sticking up. So quite interesting to see that part. So I guess this part is just holding it down, kind of. Yeah, now we see it. So we have to route the wire either up or down. We cannot do that to the side, so that's, I feel like, a little bit more downside in general, but we accommodate it. There we go. So let me charge this thing up, and then we'll continue with a high discharge and try to get as much possible out of this battery. Discharge off. Pushing the button to turn it on. There we go. Now you want to look here in the current. Turning on my inverter, which is still the Victron Multiplus II link up there about this unit. I can go maximum around 3000 watts. So we are limited. We might not or will not reach the full potential of this battery, most likely. The highest possible for me, at least at the moment. Yep. Inverter saying overload. Yeah, 70 amps, not a problem. We'll see how long my inverter will last until it's shutting it down. Since it's blinking, there we go. Since it said already overload. All right, it cut it off. So 70 amps, that's the maximum I'm able to get here, it looks like. Inverters are amazing, I can say that. Let's see, we are already at overload. Let's just go all the way. 104. And was the inverter which did shut down? We were able to go over 100 amps. Well, not continuously, for a very short time period. That's on me. Here we go. All right. Tested it all. Well, not all, but I hope that gives you a good indication of what this battery is capable of, and below 100 amps, not a problem. I believe around 70, not possible. And there's a little minus, you can see that. That's good to see that. Yeah, 65, not a problem at all. I'm letting this run, and we're at the end of the video. So after finishing everything else, all the testing, let me know in the comment section what I missed. If you need anything else to see or to understand, I will assemble everything back together, because we can actually put it back together. Would we be able to buy a cell? I don't know if we could, actually, I don't know. The thing is, you can, looks like, yeah, oh yeah, those two, they're just holding it down at the very end. So this is just in an additional board. So anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this battery. Would you buy such a server rack battery? Do you want to go with a different one, especially when you look at the price and value, what you get here? No communication ports, but everything else is here. So maybe you just need one of those. You can even wall mount it if you don't have the server rack or the rack case, that case. But what do you think about those scratched off marks about the cells? So we can't identify where they are from. So yeah, I'm curious what you think about. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, or like this video if you like that stuff. There will be another video coming with this one and the SunGold inverter, 6500 watt. That will be very exciting. Coming soon. We'll do the installation first, and I'll do a video of that, so feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to stick around and see that stuff in the near future. Thanks for watching. Cheers!